Hi everyone, we're going to do a quick little tutorial here on how to do a quartz nail. So we're looking to paint something that's going to look like this. So what we're going to start with is our base color, which I've already gone ahead and done on my nails here. So on this color here I used Crave, which is Alexio color, and then over on this one here I used Breathless. So I've done one coat of color and I've gone ahead and cured it. So the next thing that I'm going to do is put a coat of Luxio gloss. So any sort of top coat that you have will do a really good job. And we do not want to cure this, so we want to work with a wet top coat. And you want a top coat that's not too runny. You want something that's got a little bit of thickness to it, but not too much. So on my palette here, I've got some clear, so again, some gloss. Over here, I have Luxio Finesse. Over here is a little bit more of Crave. Then I've got Luxio Haven. So those are the colors that I'm going to use on my pink nail. And I'm just going to use this brush here because it's got a nice point. I find it works quite well to do this technique with. And what I'm going to do is dip my brush in the finesse, and then I'm going to put it in the gloss. And then we're just going to begin to place it in random places on the nail. And I'm just kind of patting it around. There's really no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just sort of blending it in so that it creates a pattern that I kind of like. I'm going to pick up a little bit more finesse, dip it in the gloss again, and we're going to add some over here. So what I sometimes will do is I'll take a piece of quartz and I will pull a picture of it up on the internet just so I see what it looks like, because no two piece of quartz looks the same. So now I'm just picking up more gloss and I'm just adding the gloss over top of the color just to kind of thin it around. And you see how it's creating different layers. It's doing that because I put a wet coat of gloss on there already. So I'm just going to wipe my brush off just to get some of the paint off, and I'm going to pick up some of the Haven, and we're just going to add little bits of Haven in there. You really can't mess this up. You're just patting, and it's not a design that you're going to overthink. It's a nice accent nail on a client, and it's super easy to do. It's something that everyone can do. So I'm just moving it around, seeing I think it's a little too heavy there. So we're going to put a little bit of gloss there and just kind of going to push it up a little bit. There we go. That's looking a little bit better. And then I feel like this area here is a little thin in color. So we're going to add a little bit more here. So I'm really just adding and dabbing. And I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of struggling to see here because my recording device is hanging over top right in front of my eyes, so it makes it a little bit difficult to see. I'm just going to, there we go. And we're going to add just a little more. So I'm kind of liking how that's starting to look. I really like how it looks down here. That's really good. We're just going to put a little bit more color up here, I think. And if you don't like what you've done, just add a little bit more gloss to it. Okay, that's pretty good there. I think I want another heavier line in there somewhere. So I just keep picking up between the Finesse and the Haven, whichever one. You don't have to clean your brush off every time you pick up another color. That's kind of the beauty of this. You just keep adding and dabbing and mixing as you go. So I'm liking how that's looking, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cure that one for 30 seconds in my LED light. And while that one is curing, I'm going to go ahead and start on my blue one. So I'm going to put a coat of my gloss on my nail. And this time I'm going to add Lexio Peacock because I want a little bit darker. So I'm going to go between the peacock and I'm actually going to go in and add some of the finesse as well. So we're going to do both. And this one you'll see really well on camera what I'm doing. It's a much darker color. So if you notice on my palette that my gloss is getting all dirty, but I like that. It blends so much nicer. So for those of you who tend to be perfectionists, this is a really good one for you to work at because it can't be perfect. Marble is never perfect. It's never the same. It's always different. Or quartz. I'm going to take off some of the blue on that. And I'm just dipping back and forth in the gloss wherever I feel I need to add a little bit of color. A little bit more white in this one. And at the very end, I'm going to show you a piece of quartz that I use to put my designs on afterwards. And you'll see it's pretty close to this blue. Kind of. We don't want it too close, but a little bit. So we have a Facebook group that we have started, Robyn and I, and it's for all of our free classes. So what you can do after the class is upload your designs, and you can ask us questions in that group as well. So if there's anything that you want us to elaborate on, or you want to ask questions about something that you did, you can feel free to do everything within that class there. So I'm happy with that one. I'm going to go ahead and cure that one. And we're going to come back to this one here. So I'm just going to move this out of the way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a striping brush. And I'm going to go in with some paint. If you don't have gel paint, you can use acrylic paint. It will do the same thing. It'll just take a little bit longer to dry. And we kind of want to outline some of these little areas here on our design. So, and we don't want it straight. You want it to be a little crooked. So we're just gonna, just a little bit, because you just want a little bit of it to pop. I feel like I need way more up here. I'm gonna do a line over here. This will create a little shadow, which is kind of what we want. And if you have shaky hands, this is such a good design for shaky hands. The shakier your hand, I find the better when you're doing a quartz. So we're just highlighting a few little things here and there. Now I'm finding some of them are a little bit too heavy. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to pick up my other brush and I'm just going to push it in just a little bit, and I thinned it out a little bit. So you kind of want your brush to be a little dirty because that's how you're creating this little shadow here. I didn't wipe my brush off fully. There's still a little bit of gloss in there, and that's really what we want. We're just going to add a few more, just a couple. And then I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to show you how to add a little bit more to the design by putting some foil on it, because we all love our bling. So I'm really just pressing into the line, and if I don't like how it looks, then we just wipe a little bit away. So I think I'm happy with how that's looking. We're just going to push that a little bit more. So you see how I'm just pushing the line up? There. So I'm going to go ahead and cure that once again in my light for 30 seconds. And we're going to do the same with this one here. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of white and we're just going to add little highlights. When you put your top coat on, this is also going to make these little highlights just pop. We're going to put one in here because I kind of like the shape of that. And one down here. And then I'm going to mush these lines in just a little bit because they're looking a little heavy. One over here. And what I'm going to do is pick up a tiny little bit of the peacock. So I've just got a little bit of that on my brush, and I'm just going to do a few with that as well. So this is gel polish, so it's not going to work quite the same, but it's going to give it a nice effect as well. See, I find it's a little too heavy there, so I'm going to use my dirty brush, and I'm just going to wipe. Do a little more, pick up a little bit more. And we're going to come in here a little bit. I feel like it's too light there. Oh, I like that one. That's a good one. And a little bit more there. Just thin it out so that the line is blended a little bit more. There we are. So then I'm going to go ahead and cure that one for 30 seconds in my LED light. Now, what I find when you're using foil, and I'm working with Luxio, if you cure your Luxio for 90 seconds, it becomes quite sticky. If it's not sticky enough, then I'm going to put a layer of crystal clear on the nail, and I'm going to cure it because crystal clear is super, super sticky. So you basically want a gel that's really sticky to work with when you're doing this. So I'm just wiping the back of my foil. It's got a brown coating on it, and you need to get that off so that it will stick to the nail. So all I did was dip my little white in alcohol and I wiped it off. And I don't want to put a lot of glitter on, just a little bit. So I'm going to try this without the crystal clear and see if it works. And I just want to touch it at the odd spot. That's a little too much, but that's okay. Because what we're going to do afterwards is we're just going to go in and we're going to scrape some of this off. Because I just really want little pieces here and there. You just want to accent the odd little bit. You can also take glitter and use your brush and do it that way. And so although I was curing for 90 seconds, I kept putting it in and out, so that kind of made it cure for the right amount of time for me. I still see a little bit too much on there, so I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of alcohol, and we're just going to remove some. So just alcohol on my brush just to wipe this around a little bit. That's working so much nicer. Take that one right off. And we just have little bits on that one there. So then I'm just going to put top coat on that one. So when I do my before and after picture, I'm going to do a picture of one with glitter and one without, just so you can see. And we're going to go ahead and cure this one. And in this one here, I'm going to add a little bit of glitter, but I'm going to use our Glitz, our gel play white gold leaf. And I'm going to use my striping brush, and I just want a little bit. So I'm going to put a little bit in here. Bling always dresses it up. And so you can make like a little, and again, there's no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. I'm just adding the odd little bling here and there. Wherever I feel looks like there's a little bit of a bare spot. And again, if you don't like how it looks, you can go back in with your brush and you can always remove some. I'm going to put a little bit more over here. There we go. And we kind of want it to fade out, yeah. And I'm going to put another little bit over here because I feel like this is kind of empty. So however you want to play with it, you can. This one we're just going to thin it out a little bit more. There we are. So I'm going to go ahead and cure that one for 30 seconds in my LED light. And then I'm ready to top coat. So as you can see, I did 2 nails. It didn't take me very long. It's super quick. It's super easy. Something that you can do on clients and charge a little bit more. And so many nail techs I find are afraid of nail art and hand painting, but it's really simple. You just have to break it down step by step. So we're just waiting for that to finish curing. And there we are. We have 2 quartz tips.